4 days later, like, I got pets.com and I'm living under a bridge. That was this one. This is the .com bubble. And you will see that it took about 6 years to get this high. So let's go through this. Home prices capped out around 100%. Japanese stocks, their bubble was a 200%. The .com bubble burst at about 600%. So where is Bitcoin? In this year alone, if you go, remember this is a scale on how many years it took to build these bubbles. If you just go here, how big is it? Bitcoin's gains this year alone are, hang on just a second, it's a long way up. I mean, at 800%, that's a pretty, I mean, look at that compared to this, compared to the housing bubble. Bitcoin's not at 800. In fact, it's not even at 1,000. If I can, hang on just a second. This is Jeeves. I don't go anywhere without him. He's my driver whenever I get into this thing, which I take everywhere. Okay, so Bitcoin passes 1,000% increase, passes 1,500, and is now at about 2,000% today. How much has it gained in just the last month? You know, it's about 500 or 800%. Now, compare Bitcoin to the other bubbles. And remember, Bitcoin at some point can crash. That's a long way down, isn't it? Let me show you a live shot of Bitcoin trading. We can't keep up with it because it's moving too fast. At some point today, we can come down if you don't mind. Some point today, it was almost, what was it, 19.4 or 19.6? Now, there might be a silver lining here. First of all, we are living in the new industrial revolution times. Technology. It's bucking tradition. Does it matter that digital currency looks like, oh, hang on, I have one. Have you ever seen a real Bitcoin? Let me show you this. There it is, right there. See how beautiful it is? There's nothing. Does that matter that it's intangible, that it's digits? Well, not really. Consider this. Airbnb is the world's largest accommodation provider. Used to be what? Marriott, Hilton. Airbnb is now the largest. They don't own anything. Alibaba is the world's most valuable retailer. They don't have any inventory. Uber is the largest taxi company. They don't own cars. In fact, their drivers, they work for themselves. Bitcoin could be called the world's largest bank today, but it doesn't hold any hard cash. Technology, the technology behind the currency is here to stay, and it is going to change everything. It will change everything from voting, banking, music, Hollywood. Blockchain technology is what's behind it, and it's going to change the world. But will this be enough to insulate Bitcoin from that bubble being burst? I don't know. So why is Bitcoin surging so much over the past few days? There's a couple of things that it could be. First, it might be that people are just, you know, the little guy. You know, we're just like, how come I'm never in on this, I never win. And so we saw a chance to put in our money at 500 or 1,000 or whatever, and now you're watching it and it's cool. Even if you have $100 into it, it's cool to watch, and we're feeling like we're winning and everybody wants to get involved. That may be it. But it also may be that people don't believe in the banking system anymore. They know things are about to change. They believe in this technology. All right, just looking at the resume here A computer science bachelor's degree from MIT, Master of Engineering from MIT. Then he became a software engineer for Google. Then he became the director of engineering at Coinbase. Oh, and on the side, he also created LITECOIN. But what does he actually do with his time? Charlie Lee is here. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
As I'm looking at you first, the first thing I notice is you're wearing a shirt that is basically an inside joke for Bitcoin people. Just hold. You've made it into a Litecoin. Well, first of all, you have to have Bitcoin. How many coins do you hold, really, seriously?
I'm not going to tell you that.
All right, so let's just assume 5,000? Will you at least tell me at what point you acquired them at? At what dollar amount did you acquire them at?
First got into Bitcoin when it was $30, and watch it fall to $2. So
holy cow,
got them pretty cheap. But
so, is there a place when you're watching this? I mean, it's moving for me way too fast, and really makes me nervous. And it makes me nervous on a couple of fronts. That, you know, gosh, if it just goes up and everybody's wrecked, then the government steps in and says, we've got to regulate so people can't be wiped out. Or people are wiped out and it's discredited, you know, in some way, that it's an unstable way to keep money. Are you worried about that at all?
Not too much. I mean, it's going to be volatile until, like, for many years. So I expect this to happen. And people will make a lot of money. Some people will lose their shirts. But this is just normal for Bitcoin, I guess. Is there a number that you take it off? Yeah, I mean, that you've made. You don't have to tell me what it is. I mean, I'd like you to. But is there a number that you have in your head that you go, if it hits this, I am taking my money out and putting it into, I don't know, Litecoin or someplace else? My optimistic target for Bitcoin price was $50,000. I think that was the number where it's the market cap is about 10% of gold, and I think that's a very optimistic price. But now $50,000 seems pretty easy to reach. So I'm not sure. So help me out on this, because it looks like the tulip bulb stuff, the way it's been growing so fast. However, this is real. The technology is real. The need for it is real. And investors haven't, I mean, you know, big giant investors haven't gone in. You know, it'll be $40,000 a coin if 1% of the global financial instruments are into Bitcoin. That's not hard to imagine, is it? It's not, and it's not really you can't compare it to the tulip bubble, because there's actually real value in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's value is the fact that it's uncensorable. It's uncensorable payments. It's something that was previously not, doesn't exist. So I think there's tremendous value in that. And yeah, and people are seeing that today. And that's why the price is shooting up. And the futures markets are opening. So there's a lot of, there's huge potential. So we were just talking about this off the air. You know, I know if you have capital gains, you pull it out, you obviously have to pay the tax. I don't even know what the rules are. If you just took money out of, you know, let's say you had it with Coinbase, I have it with Zapo. If you pull it out and you're spending it, are you just on the honor system since it's anonymous? I mean, what happens if you keep that money in the system? Does the government lose out on its money? Well, if you use Bitcoin or Litecoin to buy things, you're effectively selling it for US dollars, so you're supposed to pay tax on that. So I guess that's an honor system, and I mean, I do that, but a lot of people not. Yeah, probably wouldn't do that on the honor system. Are you concerned about that at all? I mean, you know, London is talking about how, you know, it's being only used by nefarious people. I know that, you know, some of the bad guys in Russia do use Bitcoin to pay people off. The president of South Korea just came out, and he said he's worried that this is going to corrupt the youth in South Korea. Is any of that, are we past the bumps on things like that? Well, cash is a better use for a lot of nefarious purposes too. I mean, I think it just comes with the fact that Bitcoin is good money, right? It's money that's it has a lot of properties of money that's really makes it good money. So being good money means that people will use it for anything. Right?
So, Charlie, you're a fascinating guy. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
40.
You're 40?
Yeah.
You know, you have done some remarkable things already, but then you were just fascinated by Bitcoin when it was $30 and you bought your first. And you decided that you should make LITECOIN because it's actually an upgraded version of Bitcoin. Is it more secure or is it just easier to use?
It's faster and it's easier to use, and also payments are cheaper. These days, if you send Bitcoin, it costs like $10 for fees, but Litecoin is still in like matter of 10 cents.
So are things like Ethereum and Litecoin, do you see in the future that Bitcoin is kind of like your savings account or your investment, and then Litecoin is, you know, what you use every day? Or how is this going to shake out in your head, at least?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I created Litecoin to complement Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, people who use it for a store value will keep it, and Litecoin is more for payments to buy things. It's going to take many years before this vision of mine happens, but that's the plan, actually.
They said, I read today, I think it was in the New York Times, they said the days of people getting rich on Bitcoin are over. I don't know if that's true. I mean, going from rags to riches, perhaps. But do you see Litecoin? I mean, if one of these things really hits, and it is the currency for a lot of the world, the value on whoever wins is going to be enormous in the end.
I don't think anyone would. I mean, Bitcoin, I think, will always be the king of crypto. I think all these other coins, like Litecoin included, would just go up in value. And the future, I see people actually wouldn't even care or know which currency they're using. Similar to how if you're watching like Netflix online, you don't really care or know which protocol, if HTTP or if it's some other protocol that's streaming you the feed. In the future, when you're using money, you may not even realize you may be using Litecoin in fact and not know it.
Last question. Are you concerned at all in institutional investors are going to start looking into and being able to invest in Bitcoin on Sunday, but so is the futures market? You concerned at all about those people with large amounts of cash that are in the old system that would like to psychologically take down Bitcoin by betting against it?
I think it would be very dangerous for them to short Bitcoin. For such a volatile currency that is just growing by leaps and bounds every day. I actually think the futures market is good for Bitcoin. There's a lot of institutional investor that will now have access to Bitcoin, and they will come in. And I think it's also good for Litecoin and other coins, because as people come in, they'll use sites like Coinbase, one of the largest exchanges in the US, and then you can also use Coinbase also lets you buy Litecoin, and you can see how fast and cheap Litecoin is, and people will just buy more of it and get more exposure to the cryptocurrency. Great.
Charlie, thank you, and thanks for using your knowledge for good as opposed to evil. I think I'm fascinated by what's on the horizon for tomorrow, and I think cryptocurrency is the future, and I appreciate talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.